There's no better example of democracy in photography than these statue removals happening around Virginia. I've always liked documenting construction, but more destruction of things. Abandoned buildings, tearing down arenas, places filled with such life that you tear down piece by piece. So the idea of dismantling these statues, which were celebrated at some point for all of the wrong reasons, is very attractive to me as a photographer. Photography allows you to stop a moment in time and pay very close attention to it. When I snap a photo, I'm spending a little more time in that millisecond than most people get to. We're sort of bombarded in a world of images. I don't know how many millions, billions a day are uploaded, and your Instagram feed is an infinite scroll of that. So you're just trying to, for news or anything, just find a photo that stops people in their tracks to make them think about what's happening. So that's what I try to do. And sometimes it's the smallest detail that will stop people in their tracks, and then you can bring them in to see the whole shot. So with a shoot like monument removal, there's a lot going on. It's a construction site. There's danger, there's action of the actual work going on, but you're now adding an audience, and there's a very emotionally charged audience. You're for or against, or the symbol has been oppressing you for so long, and there's a lot from every angle to capture and also to think through. So I don't go into these shoots trying to create a specific subset of images to tell a narrative other than the story that the statues are coming down. But I do have a style, and a lot of the style is sometimes very close-up, tight textures or moments. I'm absolutely looking for symbolism and narrative in the story, but I don't go in there with that ahead of time. There's some pretty powerful imagery created with just the contrast of construction methods and these statues. Chains around the necks of Confederates as they hang from a crane or things like that. And that's just part and parcel to the different stories that I try to tell. You work constantly until it's done because you don't know what you're gonna see. And if you stop looking for shots, you might miss something that's the best shot of the day. Shooting a statue removal is not that much different than shooting live concerts, protests, rallies, tragedies, accidents, happy moments, graduation, inauguration of a new president, all sorts of different stuff. I'm definitely more of an observational shooter, going into a place to take in a situation and see what kind of frames I can capture that other people might not be seeing as they watch the event happen in front of them. These statues are actually sort of formulaic, and so after the first one, you sort of learn the different steps that the crew has to take, and those different steps will give me cues to figure out where to position myself. They have to put some tension on the statue, cut the pins. So each of those steps gives me sort of cues to where to position myself and what kind of shots to get. And then it frees me up in those off times for looking for other interesting things in the crowd or the community that's gathered to see what's happening. With the construction crew, this is, I don't know, maybe the 10th statue I've worked with them. And so, after a while, they sort of get used to being here. But in the beginning, they were sort of not pleased about this man who doesn't have a construction background showing up with a camera. But after a while, if you keep your word and you can, prove you're not a complete idiot around heavy machinery, it works out all right. We've become sort of a team. There's a camaraderie there. The people in this group travel from all different parts of the country to help do this work. So anytime you take on a task such as dismantling monuments, there's a personal risk that comes to yourself, especially as a black contractor. Devon is an incredible individual. He runs this contracting company, and they do a lot of really important jobs across the Commonwealth and the country. It doesn't come without the personal threat to him and his family, and I think that what he's doing is really an act of service to Virginia at great personal risk to himself. I just have such admiration for the work that he takes on and the honesty and integrity in which he conducts himself. I view personal relationships as everything. So if I end up hurting a personal relationship by doing a photo thing, it isn't worth any of the photos that I've created. So to me, personal relationships come first, photos come second. Thanks for putting up with me all weekend. The idea for this was planted by a high schooler in Charlottesville, Ziona Bryant, who pursued this idea doggedly until she succeeded in getting these statues removed. And so her idea is now being fulfilled, and to photograph that, there's no better example of photographing democracy in action. I live in Charlottesville, and I was present August 11th and 12th, 2017. And that whole mess was largely surrounding the statues. And so seeing these statues come down for me feels like a bookend closure to that terrible period in our town's life. I hope that the images from this past weekend in Charlottesville will tell a different story of this community. I hope that they tell the story of a community that stood up against these symbols that do not speak to our current values, of a community that kept losing until we won and is now moving on towards making more positive change beyond just the statues.